back to the One Nation of Gamers 2016 Circuit Feature Tournament number 1. Once again, I'm TJ. Joining me on this broadcast is going to be Chalky_Hearthstone. Chalky, how you doing, man?
Doing great.
What'd you think of that first match? I know that's Admiral's one of your practice partners. Disappointed to see him lose, or happy to see Shoop, the Geico Points leader, take a victory?
Well, uh, you know, as is tradition, I'm actually second place in the Geico point standings, so I'm kind of cheering for this guy to lose. Like nothing against Shoop. I just want to be first place. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
however, that is within my control. If I win this tournament, no matter what, I'm in first place.
Yeah. Well,
So,
the next tournament, or sorry, the next match is going to be between LBYS and Firebat. LBYS, another player who's up there in the Geico point standings, currently at fourth, with 9 Geico points. So he's up there in the runnings. Firebat won the invites for the week. LBYS, I believe, qualified through. Yeah, he qualified through points. Since two of the people ahead of him, since he's in fourth, were actually winners of their Geico events. So him and you were the two players that qualified through points.
seems
Um,
good.
yeah, but we're still waiting on a ban. And while we do that, I know there's a lot of new people that are joining us in the chat from the last time we made this spiel. So if you're wondering what the One Nation of Gamers 2016 circuit is, it's a circuit of 10 open tournaments and 5 feature tournaments that all lead up to a grand final extravaganza at PAX Prime in August. The entire circuit has $60,000 prize pool. The 10 opens that will take place between, well, 2 that have already happened, and the remaining 8 will take place between now and August. And highest prize pool opens out of any opens out there right now. They give Hearthstone Championship Tour points, like we said, prize pool, and of course Geico points, which you'll hear us mention throughout the broadcast. What Geico points do is they allow you to qualify for the feature tournaments, and then of course at the end of the year or in August, the people with the most Geico points will secure spots at the grand finals at PAX, along with the feature tournament winners. So it's a cool thing. If you want to find out more information, you can head over to geico.onog.gg for all of the information about the tournament, Geico points, how it works, how to sign up, when the opens take place, and all that nonsense. Also, you can get a Geico quote, and in doing so, you can enter in for a chance to win an Alienware PC, the X51R3 Alienware PC, which is pretty sick. I think the specs are on the website as well. So make sure you're doing that on the breaks throughout the day. But looks like we do have both bans in. So LBYS has banned the Warrior from Firebat. Warrior is pretty anti-LBYS, and Firebat has banned the Warlock from LBYS.
Now, TJ, you know what I love about Hearthstone is you don't really, you don't need to speak much English to play. You don't. It's a universal game. Really the only things you need to learn are like small phrases like ban warrior, uh, SM orc, things like that.
Yep.
So very universal language we have in Hearthstone. Just a small little orc head. You don't have to know anything. You just see the chat spam and you're like, ooh, I'm going to type in one of those.
Yeah.
But LBYS is a very smork player. He's not bringing Hunter, which kind of disappoints my soul a little, but I have to agree with him there. I don't think Hunter's that powerful right now. Got to leave it home. But he did bring Mage, which is another one of his favorites. We've seen him play like aggro freeze in the past, but I would expect that to be more of a standard freeze. Paladin, definitely a class that some players are starting to leave behind, but it's still boasting one of the highest win rates in the regional tournaments and just open tournaments and everything. And Warrior, I mean, could be that patron list. I would expect it to be because he's banning Warrior, but it could also be, one of the newer Elise lists. And Firebat's lineup, we haven't actually seen Firebat play in competitive tournaments for a while. It didn't qualify for regionals, but bringing Shaman and Druid and Warrior, pretty popular classes, but Mage, again, kind of one of those ones you don't see everyone bring. It was definitely really popular in North American regionals, though. 5 or 6 out of the 8 players used some form of Freeze Mage, so very popular class. We haven't really seen as much tempo Mage as we have in like Europe.
It's like there was virtually no tempo mage
Yeah.
It
Even
was less
even
than it was less than double-digit percentage of the
yeah.
total mages.
Even APX Void, who just known for his tempo mage, places on ladder consistently with it, brought freeze mage, and
That blew me away.
yeah, I literally went into my match against him prepared to play against tempo mage,
Mhm.
and like I think he played Mad Scientist. And I was like, okay, well, I'll play around Mirror into the encounter spell, and it was just Ice Barrier. I
Yeah,
wasn't disappointed. I was like, sweet, sounds good.
yeah.
Oh, and okay, this must be Shaman. I looked at Firebat's hand and I was like, is that Hunter?
Yeah. Nope.
But it's
No
the
hunter for either of these players, which is surprising since
the
both of
natural
them.
successor, Shaman.
Yeah. Both of these players are avid hunter players. One fact about LBYS that we mention almost every time he plays is he doesn't play druid. Druid was the class with the highest win rate in at least the North American winter preliminary.
Uh, Also Europe, but it was much less of a margin.
Yeah, yeah. It was 67% total win rate for Druids in the North American Winter Prelim, which is pretty absurd for a deck win rate at the highest level of play, or at the
Yeah,
perceived highest level of play.
especially when it's a deck that everyone knows what's happening. It's no surprise what a druid's going to do.
Yeah,
You're like, listen, I know I could probably list 29 of the 30 cards in your deck, and I'm still going to lose.
I could list at least four.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty bad deck, pretty unhealthy deck, and I would expect Standard to kind of change that. A lot of players are looking at Standard and they're thinking, "Wow, Druid's going to be even more overpowered," but
Hmm.
that class is definitely getting balanced.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. But for now, um, we must deal with it. But Firebat has Druid, and LBYS rocking some stylish new glasses. That looks like he has. He's he's looking pretty dapper. I hate that word, but I'm gonna use it anyway. Firebat's just smorking down. He realizes that, you know what, this hand is not the greatest. He doesn't have much longevity with the damage in his hand, so he's just gonna go for it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his hand and you're kind of thinking like, listen, this lightning bolt's not going anywhere else. I don't have a play for next turn, and basically it's guaranteeing you get the one extra damage now because of the Trog.
Yeah,
The only thing this is really weaker is that if he picks up Feral Spirits or Argent Horse Rider, he can't play them, and he managed to dodge that. So
that's a pretty good draw to Doomhammer. Maybe not this turn, just because he doesn't really have too much to play, but Doomhammer is one of the primary win conditions against, control-oriented decks or decks that gain health, I suppose.
yeah, I mean, I'd suspect we'll see him save this Rockbiter, just trade in the Trog. Get to peel off the armor, make sure there's no shield slams. Of course, he doesn't really know what kind of warrior this is yet, but it is going to be Patron. Doomhammer is definitely going to be really big in helping him punch through enough damage, but Belcher's a card that really gives Doomhammer fifths, so
Yeah.
Firebat's going to need to pick up like a Lava Burst or an Earth Shock to get through the Belcher.
Even Dread Corsair can pose some problems too.
Yep, still takes 2 hits, so
Yeah. So there's a lot of things. Patron Warrior, I think I might get some, I don't know, not hate for saying this, but I might get some people unhappy.
you might
about
get
me
some mildly unhappy Twitch
Yeah.
messages.
some fail fishes. I don't even know, but I think Patron Warrior is more favored than the current Control Warrior lists in this matchup.
Um, a lot of the current Control Warrior list aren't playing Armor Smith right now, which is definitely
Most of the
definitely
current Control Warrior lists.
a downside.
Yeah, and I think you have more. You put on more pressure. There's
Yeah.
like more consistency of draw.
I guess you're definitely playing on the backswing a lot faster. Like you're pressuring them out with your 4 wave of patrons
Yeah.
a lot faster than Control Warrior is going to be able to.
Yeah,
But ultimately, I don't know. I mean, you're missing out on Shield Maiden. You're missing out on a second Belcher usually. Definitely don't have Harrison.
but you can
But-
make huge armor smith turns, which isn't possible.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. It's a way to seal up the game.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna have to see if LBYS kind of thinks, okay, going into Doomhammer turn, I'm gonna coin out this Belcher so he can't do it. Of course, he could still do it and just tank 6, which I would expect Firebat to do. So maybe he'll go with a more tame play of like frothing, make it 3-4, start to get that counter aggression started. But either way, it's not looking too insanely good for LBYS.
Yeah.
Gonna coin out a slam as well just to get rid of. So this saves them 2 health essentially. Saves them 1 from the attack and 1 from the backswing. So I definitely like this play.
And it keeps bumping up the frothing. And
Yep.
this is one of those things where how it differs in line of plays between Control Warrior and Patron Warriors. If you get a frothing, sometimes it forces an answer from the Shaman just because it represents so much potential damage. If you hide it behind a Belcher and then get a Whirlwind or anything, it can kill you over 2 turns. So
yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to see him just Enrage this turn. I mean, he can save it to use with the Execute. Not really going to find a place for this big game hunter, I don't think, but...
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the frothing is doing at least 6 on the backswing, because the Lava Burst and then the hit from the Doomhammer is going to buff it up by 2. So, like you said, it's definitely... This is a lot more of a threat to worry about than a Control Warrior would really be posing, whereas a Control Warrior would just hope to have Harrison or Shield Maiden and just live through the damage.
And he's only going to take 2 damage this turn from 1 swing of the Doomhammer, which he can negate next turn. And there'll be 2 overloads, so Firebat will be able to do 9 damage from hand, 10 maximum if he hits the Flame Juggler.
So,
ooh.
I kind of like just Armor Smith.
Yeah.
Would you...
I would Enrage, too.
Would you play Big Game Hunter?
You'd have to play it before, make sure.
Yeah, you'd have to do it before.
You miss an armor up, though.
Maybe you would armor up over arms. So, I mean, it's very important math to do here if you can kill your opponent over 2 turns. So Frothing swing in for 9 this turn if you Enrage it. That puts us into 13, and that would set up lethal with the BGH. So it's definitely something weighing in on your mind, and realistically, what's the difference between 8, 9, and 10 health? You have to really think to yourself, because you can gain 3 life this turn, but then you don't kill your opponent. You can gain 2 life and kill your opponent, or you can gain 1 life and kill your opponent. So I think my favorite play out of those, this does have hand contacts included, but is just play out all your minions, gain the 1 life, and, threaten the lethal, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So now this makes it so Firebat has to Lava Burst or something on that Frothing.
And he can't really afford to play creatures because that gives LBYS more
armor. Wow, that's it.
Whoa!
Unreal. Yeah, you see LBYS is like, come on, man. It's like you're 1 out.
Yeah, there's some things that, nothing is going to stop that type of...
Yeah, no play you could have done. That's, as like tilting as that kind of thing is, it's never something that you're disappointed with yourself about. You're like, listen, literally none of my plays play around that.
Yeah.
So, like, how can you be upset? Realistically, you shouldn't be. You're down 1-0, it sucks, but oh well.
The only other out would have been Crackle.
Crackle
for 5+, because he was at
it would have to be 5, and he can't roll a spell power totem.
No, it would have been 4 because he was at 13 health. So if he rolled 4, it would have been 9.
Oh yeah.
So Crackle with a sort of a 50-50 Crackle would have done it as well, but very unlikely. There was only those 2 outs, I believe.
Yeah, ultimately I like the way LBYS played it out.
Yeah.
I like the way Firebat played it out. I mean, I think both players played pretty optimally that match, and the draws were just in the Shaman's favor.
Mm-hmm. And as we all know, when a game when the draw is in the Shaman's favor in a game, it's a lot of the times going to go to the Shaman, unless you're playing a death.
Yeah.
A nuts draw from an aggro Shaman is one of the most polarizing experiences that you can imagine in Hearthstone, and I'm sure everybody's experienced it.
The thing is, like, the nut draw from the other class always beats you, though.
Yeah, but
because the nut draw on a Shaman usually involves you getting, like, a lot of damage in through minions. Like, your Trog just grows and punches them for 5 on turn 3, and they're like, come on.
Yeah, I think it depends on the class, though, because some classes you have the nuts draw, there's nothing you can do.
Like, imagine there was just a War Axe last game. Suddenly LBYS is super favored.
There was a War Axe.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, there was. He killed a Searing Totem with it. He killed a Tunnel Trog with it.
Did he?
He did, yeah.
Well, he played yeah, but I mean on turn 2. He played Armor
Oh,
Smith.
okay, he played Armor Smith.
Yeah. Imagine he played War Axe instead of Armor Smith and just
Yeah.
killed the Trog outright.
I think he had the. I don't know. I don't want to say things that I'm not sure.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Let's
but
focus on this game. Let's Druid broke back time.
all right. Well, okay. So this matchup, it's hard to say. It's actually really close because
Right.
there's things that the patron can do that make it so it's almost impossible for the druid to win, and there's things that a druid can do to make it almost impossible for the patron to win. The things you're looking for as the warrior player is to just get a board full of as many patrons as early as you can, and druid's just looking to do druid things.
Shade is a really good card for the Druid side because there's actually just zero counterplay to it in a patron warrior list. There's no, the only way you can kill it is if
Or two double whirlwind.
the turn it comes down, you whirlwind twice. So when you play it on turn 3, there's really no counterplay because the warrior can't afford to expend the whirlwinds. They don't have a Deathbite set up. So realistically, it's just going to live
If you think about it, Chalky, if someone innervates out of shade, they're spending 2 cards. You spend double whirlwind, it's an even trade.
You got me there, TJ.
Boom. Got him.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't say that I've ever done it though.
Me neither. But from the patron side, we were talking about all the winning things from the Druid, but if patron just goes patron enrage whirlwind effect, there's not a lot in Druid that counters that.
Yeah. You have to have very specific removal. You have to have like a keeper, a wrath, and a living roots. And a creature already on board all on the same turn, which if the whirlwind effect comes from a Despite, a lot of times you're going to remove the board and develop patrons. And right now, LBYS's hand
I'd really like to see him.
It just needs the patron to finish the whole circle.
I'd really like to see this Battle Rage. He's just going to do it for 2. He could have cycled the Inner Rage as well, but I think he recognized that, he really wants that with the patron. But this was by far like the best turn to Battle Rage. He's not really going to have a better chance, so just Deathbiting wasn't that powerful. And Firebat, eventually he's going to have to Wrath these minions. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just this turn. Just like set down some Wraths, but
this hand is pretty disgusting from LBYS though.
Yeah, it's got all the tools he really needs. I mean, the Execute, the Whirlwind, the Inner Rage, the Patron, and the Despite. Name some cards, and those are the ones you want.
Yeah. And you're pretty safe going all in with your Patron in this matchup. It's not like Priest or Mage, or like Priest or Freeze Mage or Control Warrior, where sometimes you got to hold back that last Whirlwind.
Yeah, ironically, Firebat has the hand that would be able to remove all 4 patrons, but he's gonna use one of the rest now, so not quite.
Yeah. The thing is, LBYS's turn where he develops the Despite's slightly awkward, just because he has to hit into.
I think you do it right now.
Oh no, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
You have to use an Execute.
Oh, you just hit face.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, actually.
Yeah.
The pressure you get is really nice. Next turn, he can make 6 patrons if he wants.
And I don't see any reason why he wouldn't.
Yeah, me neither, really. And Azure Drake gives him a perfect target.
Yep.
And he's at very high health.
Well, some of these patrons, some of these are going to get dealt with.
Yeah.
Living Roots and Wrath. He can't fit it all in, but he can Force of Nature, Wrath, and he has a creature on board. He might be able to kill all but one.
Yeah, but there's going to be 6, man.
Okay, so 6, but 3 of them.
How do you kill the 3 of them?
3. You kill the 3 damage ones with Force of Nature.
Yeah.
You kill one of the full health ones with Shade, and the other full health one with Wrath. There's only 1 full health patron remaining, and you have a 6/3 Shade.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
yeah.
this is one of the ways. One of the ways you deal with it is by having ramp and by having spot removal, because this patron sort of board is, first off, it's kind of 1 turn delayed from LBYS. Ideally, you develop the Despite on 4 and you patron enrage with 1 whirlwind effect on 5. This is coming in on turn 6, and Firebat hit the wild growth, so a little later than you'd ideally want to see it, but Firebat does have a hand to deal with it.
Is there any difference between Whirlwinding first? Iterator? Ooh, is he gonna be greedy? No, okay, yeah. I was like, you need to make 6.
Yeah.
So this gives him 2 health, 1 health, and 3 full health. And if you do it the other way, it gives you a 3 health, a 2 health. Nah, this is better, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I just haven't played enough Patron.
This is pretty decent.
Yeah, you just have to remove all of them.
Yeah.
It's only going to be a 6-1 shade, TJ, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I forgot the damage that it takes.
I just want to throw that out there.
Okay. Imagine if you just double Whirlwinded. When it first came out, you wouldn't have had to deal with this crap anymore.
In a caster, Ellie Giggle.
Corrupt your own minions, Ellie Giggle. You can't do it, folks.
Just in case, you know, you'd come up with some wacky Warlock deck that involves corrupting your own minion. It's unfortunately, it's gone the way of the Eye for an Eye Alexstrasza combo. You just can't do it. I don't know.
Wait, what? Did that work at some point?
Yeah.
You could Eye for an Eye yourself, and it would basically mean you... Wait, you could
How
Eye...
much
Wait, what?
is not clearing?
Never mind.
So... Yeah, you could... Back in the day, Alexstrasza was coded as actually dealing damage. It didn't just set your health to 15, it actually did damage until you were at 15, or healing.
And secrets could trigger
And secrets could trigger on your own turn.
Okay, that's the key I was missing.
Thus, we made a wacky deck that would involve going Eye for an Eye, Alex yourself, deal 15.
Except a lot of times, you could have just Alex them and achieved.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Listen.
Well, okay, so that deck falls in the same category as Holy Wrath. You basically build your deck in order to put your opponent at exactly 15 and have Eye for an Eye
now
in your hand by turn 10.
Firebat playing this kind of greedy might cost him because the Ghoul is probably just going to wrap things up.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know why he just... Maybe he really wants... He thinks that Force of Nature is going to be the only way he wins. You know, he can clear the board, but he wants to preserve a win condition.
He's actually just going to Belcher, which I don't mind. It's more mana utilization, but...
Still a really tough board to deal with.
Yeah, he just can't.
Why did he not clear?
Well, the clear wouldn't have put him in that great of a spot either.
Well, he would have been left with one patron on the board.
Yeah, and then he'd Cruel Taskmaster the one patron.
Trade up into
Ghoul.
the low. Yeah.
Well, the Lothab just wouldn't be there.
Oh, well, I'm talking about like the turn after.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, because it'd be a full health patron, so he could cool down and set up the Ghoul. Okay.
Ultimately, when your opponent makes 6 patrons against you, neither of your options are that great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets to slam his own patron and trade in. Now a Doomsayer. Okay, now he's got a way to answer a Doomsayer, but... Damn. I really wanted that Doomsayer.
How do you do this, though? I guess you just trade in that patron.
So you're going to want to, like, click on that patron and drag it into your opponent's piloted shredder?
Yeah, but I'm talking about, like... I guess it was at 1 health, so you couldn't attack into anything that would have come out of it. I was thinking maybe it's okay to do the Belcher, but...
Your only worry here is, like, you just need to make a second patron, because then you're not dead to swipe. And he's not dead to swipe, he's just, like, he doesn't want to get swiped. So he's going to make a second patron, and then Ghoul. Seems good. Wouldn't even mind him just pushing face. Just trying to end this. At this point, you're really just thinking, like, what beats me?
I think the answer is nothing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really much of a difference between face there and trading. Because either way...
Yeah, but if you go face check, it's to spam SM1. I'm always thinking of these things. We were like watching Forsen play one day, and it was like in that curse tournament. And he just went face in like a terrible spot to go face. And Admirable was like, do you think Force never just kind of thinks like, oh man, chat's gonna fucking go crazy if I go face? and he just does it because of that. Like, it makes sense.
All right. I don't know if you're allowed to curse, but since it was a Forsen impression,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, forcing
we'll let it
curse
slide.
there. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It was under context of parody. Rules don't count.
Well,
I think I mean, I don't know
yeah,
if there's anything that punishes you for
he's
just throwing
so
out the second patron and
yeah, he's
whirlwinding.
so dead. Like,
I would just literally barf my hand right now.
finish him.
Just throw it all out there. LBYS is thinking this through way too much.
Honestly, yeah, like barfing your hand out probably wins you the game.
It's like, what can I play now?
You definitely don't want to throw these kinds of games, though. You know.
There's a mind control tech, and then he top decks a second mind control tech.
What would beat him? I guess just Deathwing. Like,
But then,
no, Deathwing would crush him here.
okay.
I've put Deathwing in Druid decks before, and Firebat isn't beyond that.
So I've been talking with a few people, and
Oh,
there was a
never
post
Deathwing.
on competitive subreddit this morning as well about putting Doomsayer and Druid, and I've heard a lot of people mention putting Doomsayer in so many random things.
Yeah,
Eventually, we're gonna get to the point before Santa comes out where every deck has a Doomsayer,
it's a good card. Like,
and
Fi-
nobody plays anything on turn 2 just because
they're like,
everybody
this
has
is really
Doomsayer.
weak to Doomsayer.
Yeah, and so the game just becomes
Wait.
nobody playing things
What
until
about
turn 5.
Crazed Alchemist, though?
Whoa!
Whoa!
Now everybody has an answer to once the meta becomes Doomsayers on turn 2.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like the meta architect. I'm coming up with things before they're even relevant.
Well, it was a viable strategy putting Doomsayer in pretty much everything when the ladder was dominated by Secret Paladins.
It's a really good card against certain decks, yeah. It's like the best turn 2 answer to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of classes just don't care. They're like, okay,
Yeah. Like,
you're wasting a spot in your deck for me to just skip a turn.
It's nice in like Elise decks because you don't care that you're wasting a spot.
Yeah. And in some situations where you don't have to play it, eventually it'll become a legendary anyway.
I mean, I guess imagine if Firebat had combo here. Like,
Oh yeah.
he would be in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
LBYS, he's covering all his bases. He doesn't want to lose
yeah, he's dead.
virtually unlosable match. So,
Yeah.
Yep. So Firebat goes ahead and concedes. That means the series is going to be tied 1-1. And you know, it was very close to being a 2-0 in favor of LBYS.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that pesky rock biter.
Well, no. Because if he won the first game in our so-called parallel universe, Patron would have already won. And thanks to the lovely Conquest format, he wouldn't have been able to play it again. Not 2 Warrior decks, TJ.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I can always count on you to keep me grounded.
Yeah. I always do find it funny, though, when people are like, you know, they lose 3-2. And they're kind of like, well, if that one top deck was changed, I would have won the match. I'm like, well, no, technically, everything else would have changed as well, you know, like butterfly effect and all.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows what would have happened, man.
I want to say that butterfly effect is the incorrect terminology in that situation, but I don't know enough about the butterfly effect.
Me neither. I'm just using it because it's like a time-traveling buzzword, man.
Yeah. You and your buzzwords, man.
Man, that's all casting is about.
Same. Nice meme. Smork. Second.
You just like
Just
you just
chalky
say
buzzwords.
you just say a Twitch emote and chat's like,
He said pog chip. Everybody. Pog chip now.
yeah, I mean, you did that at regionals. You're like, give me one last pug champ for the road. Don't act like you're above Twitch chat, TJ. You're one of
The
them.
stream was on a delay too, so like 10 minutes or 15 minutes later, however long it was, I just looked at my
Oh,
phone.
it went insane, dude.
My heart was all warm and fuzzy.
That's the hardest I've seen chat ever spam.
I almost did OMG Scoots, but I'm like, nobody knows what OMG
Everybody's
Scoots
gonna be like,
is.
what?
What? They have to look at their emote list.
I'm kind of curious if we topped a PogChamp per minute thing from that.
Maybe. It's possible.
I mean, I'm thinking now, and I'm like, maybe.
I don't even know if PogChamp is in the top 5 emotes used.
Firebat's gonna ping here instead of Scientist, which is interesting. It plays around Muster a lot better.
Yeah.
He didn't want to just die to Muster for battle. I mean, this
But-
is definitely... Yeah, it's a lot weaker to just this. Uh,
It's actually a lot weaker to everything else but
Not
must.
muster for value. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's kind of one of the traps really good players fall into is they play around stuff all the time,
hmm, by
and
playing around stuff, they leave themselves more vulnerable
to
to
other stuff.
other stuff.
Yeah, like this is just gonna. I mean, this is a 9/8 that's going face, TJ.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to play what's good. You know,
Seems
just
good.
don't think about it. Mad scientist on 2, just play what's good.
It was on 3 to be fair, but
Mad scientist on 3, just play what's good.
seems good.
Seems good.
Yeah, he's under a lot of pressure. I mean, he's really hoping this scientist fetches an ice block because
Hmm.
an ice barrier is not doing too much here. And I think he has to ice lance that 9/8 pretty
Yeah.
soon.
I mean, Ice Lance is you're not going to get much more value out of it.
And
than
you're
healing for
leading
9.
into a blizzard turn. I would like
Yeah.
to see Ice Lance Acolyte. It sets you up really nicely into the mysterious challenger turn. You get to draw off the Acolyte and then blizzard. That's what he's going to go for. So I mean, and every time I watch this matchup, I'm like, wow, Secret Paladin's so far ahead, but I'll be damned if the Freeze Mage doesn't find a way to pull it out.
Yeah.
Who am I? None of your business.
Oh, look at that! The full Christmas tree. That's actually rare
Full
nowadays.
tree.
You were one of the only players at regional or at preliminary who actually ran the full Christmas tree. Repentance is cut like in more than 50% of lists, I think.
Hey man, could be eye for an eye. You know,
The ultimate freeze mage counter.
in China in December, we were at dinner, and me and Gara were like kind of trolling Life Coach about eye for an eye.
Yeah.
And, like we were just like acting like it was really good, and then he was like actually like seriously thinking about it, like thinking about the math behind it, and somehow we convinced him that eye for an eye was good, and he just took eye for an eye to a tournament the next weekend. And I'm like, no, it was a joke.
Well, if you look at it on like it's just by itself, like eye for an eye.
It's not that good, man.
Eye for an
Not
eye
that good.
is 1 mana for at least 1 damage, likely more.
So, Life Coach was like, well, you only really need to get, like, how much damage would you be happy with? And he's like, I'd be happy with, like, 4. And then he's like, but you only really need to get half of that, because half the time, it just pulls it from your deck for free. And I'm like, I don't think that's how that works, but okay.
Yeah.
So he was like, if you get 2 damage, it's really good. And they have to play your own Repentance anyway. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you got it. And yeah, he Life Coach can talk himself into playing anything. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm pretty sure he cut it from his list after that tournament.
He's still developing it, but meanwhile, there's a 13-11.
We're
Shouldn't
just
be
not
bot.
going to talk about that mini bot. You know, he's his own man. Now, Firebat kept Emperor in the opening hand, and I'd just like to say how terrible that card's looking right about now.
Mhm.
I was a little confused by that because like cards like Doomsayer are so good in this matchup, and Emperor is just not. Like, what's he Emperoring for here?
I don't know, and especially against Paladin.
Okay, I guess he's Ice Lancing, so maybe he doesn't get popped now.
Yeah. Well, especially against Paladin. Paladin's a deck where if they curve out, sometimes you can just lose, and so it feels like you need all the tools that you can get in the early game to cycle and get to your freezes and get to your secrets or your mad scientists, whichever resource they come from.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to trade into this. It feels bad, but Emperor is a dangerous card, man.
Dude, there's only 5 cards in his hand, though. That's a lot
Yeah,
of damage
but-
to miss. He might be able to get away with just... I don't know. Yeah, that's tough.
Well, like,
actually.
if your opponent doesn't board freeze from here on out, you pop him. Every
Yeah.
time. So, the other thing is, maybe you just Belcher and Minibot, which I'd actually really like, because I feel like Firebat's going to go for Doomsayer turn this game, and Dr. Boom's just going to kill him.
Yeah.
Because the Boombot's resolve on your opponent's turn, it goes through Ice Block. That's how I win against Freeze Mage a lot.
Yeah, I won a game earlier where I top decked Leperno as my board was frozen and my opponent was at one health with Ice Barrier and Ice Block up, and I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna win this game. I was just like, oh, Leperno off the top, throw it into a Doomsayer.
So, there's no board freeze. which is a little weird. If he did draw a board freeze, he'd be able to freeze Doomsayer, and LBYS would only get one Boombot, so he wouldn't reliably be able to go for that play
I wonder.
because he filled his board up a little more, which is why. I guess if you trade, it's even worse because your opponent's just at 10.
I don't even know if there's a way for him to live.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Firebat's just, like, got to do some weird stuff. Like, maybe just fireball your opponent.
Because Doomsayer, you are
Yeah, I'd like to
dead
save this
against Doctor
fireball.
Doom.
Because, what are his outs? Like, it's really weird. He's going to need to draw 2 burn spells in a row. He's going to need to draw, like, Frostbolt Fireball or Torch Fireball. And if he does that, he actually will win. Like, he'll just go Fireball you now,
Oh,
and then you Ice Block. He could still do it, I think. All you have to do is, like, Ice Block, Pyro your opponent, and then the last turn you just go Fireball, Fireball, Frostbolt, and he's dead.
yeah.
So he is on 2 burn spells in a row to win the game.
And he has to there has to not be a Lotheb.
And that should not be a Lotheb. We're way past that point. Like, Lotheb is dead territory.
Yeah.
And
So-
now for LBYS, I think you literally you kill the Emperor, you set him to 1, and you don't play anything. Because then you've got room for the Boombot to spawn.
Yeah. Well, you got to pop the block too.
Yeah, of course. You set him to 1, you pop the block.
Okay, forgot that very important step.
I mean,
There's some
Hey,
people
man.
out there right now that are taking notes on freeze range. They're like, set him to 1, kill the Emperor. Okay.
they're like,
And then end turn. Boom.
they're like, I lost. Why didn't you tell me to pop the block?
I thought we were waiting for a specific card that was going to help us
I
kill
wonder.
him through
I
the
wonder
block.
if you trade in a 6/4 to preserve.
Why?
I'm just thinking, is there any reason to preserve the Divine Shield? That's obviously what he's thinking about right now too.
Hmm.
Is he just not going to kill it? The absolute madman! What the hell? Oh wow!
Why would he? Okay, so why would he?
Oh
not
god,
kill-
he's dead because of that. Oh no, he doesn't have mana to play Block and Alex. Not like this. Okay, yeah, he's.
I wonder.
If he had 10 mana, Firebat could go Alex, Ice Block, and then he could just Pyro Fireball next turn.
All right, so
But now, I mean, it's. He just has to go Pyro Fireball, or Pyro Block, and shenanigans have to happen. I don't know.
what a weird turn of events.
Yep.
It seemed like LBYS had a client freeze towards the end of that turn.
Yeah, there's definitely no reason not to kill the
Yeah.
Emperor.
So it's not a next level play. There's no crazy reason why he left that up. It's just that his client froze. But I think he's
And
better
that-
now. That's why.
That's going to be game
Yeah.
if LBYS spots it. There is, this is Dr. Boom lethal on board. You can set your opponent to 1 and just play the Boom. And
Yeah,
that's
because
game.
the Doomsayer will kill off all your opponent's minions
Yep.
before the boombots go off. So as long as you get him in range, then it's GG.
So, hopefully he
We'll
reconnects and sees it.
Yeah. I think it would kick out of Spectator if he was disconnected for long enough. But I don't know if that's correct.
What an interesting turn of events.
Yeah.
But yeah, this...
But that would be
I've
a
always
100%.
wondered.
That would be
Yeah,
a
it's
100%
100%
lethal
lethal.
situation.
I've
so-
always wondered, in those types of scenarios, there are players that miss these types of lethals. So, like, if you DC here, is it lethal? Like, what if you DC during one of those lethal puzzles people post on Reddit? And tech, and then it's
I
like,
don't know.
well,
I don't think
lethal's
that's that
on
hard of a
board.
puzzle.
Yeah, but what if the puzzle's really hard, TJ? But it is
We're gonna-
lethal.
We're gonna get an admin ruling.
Yeah, we're obviously you guys saw LBYS did disconnect, having
it
client
said
issues.
You got your opponent has left.
Firebat's a really good sport. I would assume he would just say that's fine. You can have the win. He
Yeah.
wasn't. He was in a miserable position in that game. He was actually dead.
Yeah.
But
And there wasn't a potential lethal. There was a situation where he had guaranteed lethal. I think he could have put his opponent at 2.
he could have put him at 1.
Oh, he could have.
He
I
had
thought he
a
didn't have.
he had the mini bot and the challenger, so that's 6 plus 2 puts him to 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
You're right.
you only need to set him to 2.
Yeah, yeah. He could have sent him to 2 because he had room on his board for both boom bots. So, but we'll get a ruling on that in just a moment, and we'll give time for LBYS to resolve his client issues. But in the meantime, this is my favorite part of ONOG broadcast with Chalky. It's time to fill some time.
All right.
What do you want to talk about today, Chalky?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about, man?
Um,
Everything that's coming to my mind, I'm just kind of like, we probably shouldn't talk about that.
yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about our Geico One Nation of Gamers experiences in the Open that actually led into this, or led into the Open that we casted in the prior week.
Well,
Chucky and I actually both made it to the round of
8.
8. We both made it to the round of 8 in the last Geico Open, which means we were both one broadcast away from making it to the.
One match away from making it to the broadcast.
Yeah, for Chucky it didn't mean much because he
I had already
secured
qualified
his feature, but for me it meant a lot because it just crushed my spirits.
Yep. Bible thump.
Bible thump. Who did you lose to?
And this is gonna seem bad. I don't even remember, man. For me, it was just another Tuesday.
Just another Tuesday losing.
Yep. I've lost
That's a
more
chat.
matches than like everybody, man.
Yeah.
Losing's my second favorite thing behind winning.
The Open was on a Friday.
Yeah, but the quote is it was another Tuesday. Come on, you kill
Okay. All right. Well,
you're
we
killing
obviously
my
can't-
vibe here.
We obviously can't remember. So let's talk about who these guys beat to get to where they are. I'll take a look at the Open brackets. Open
Shoot
bracket number
beat
1.
me.
You said you just didn't. Oh, shoot
Well,
beat.
that was the first one. Of course, I
Yeah.
remember that. That was the finals.
All right. Shoot beat. Killing all day.
You know, like Arya in Game of Thrones, she keeps that list of who she wants to kill. I
It's pretty
keep a
fun.
list of everyone I've lost to in the finals, and it's a long list, TJ. And every night before I go to bed, I recite their names in order, and Shoop is the last one right now.
Silent Storm is one of the first.
Yeah,
Oh man, I don't think I'm on that list.
I don't actually do that,
Thank goodness.
guys. Unfortunately.
All right. So Shoot beat Boxception. He beat Killin' All Day, who's an avid tournament participant. The Rat, best patient player in the world.
I giggle.
And Chalky. That was in Open number 1. In Open number 2, Shoop actually lost to LBYS on his road there. That was in the top 8. So they both made it pretty far again in that tournament. So, LBYS beat Lead Paint, who's also an avid tournament participant. He beat King Pawn, and he lost to Eversiction in the finals. So Eversiction we'll be seeing tomorrow in Chaki's group. Yeah, that was their road to make it.
Solid. TJ, what was your road here? Who'd you have to lose to end up casting?
I don't even remember, man.
I think you
Eversiction.
lost to Eversiction,
Yeah, I
yeah.
lost to Eversiction. I did 3-0 VLPS on my road there. So when I cast VLPS is tomorrow. No, I'm not gonna rub it in. VLPS is too nice of a guy. VLPS actually could have won that. He misplayed in one of the matches. He took 1 extra damage. He killed like a 3-2 instead of killing a 2-2 with his face. And then I had exact lethal, and I was dead the next turn.
Seems
So-
good.
He actually could have reverse swept me because I don't think the rest of my lineup was good against him. But yeah, that was a fun matchup.
So
It looks like the rules for One Nation of Gamers, we don't have the same rules as like the Hearthstone World Championship, the Hearthstone Championship Tour. A disconnect is a loss. So it looks like the admins are leaning towards a redo, and I think it's also at player discretion, but it seems as though the players are going to agree on a redo.
yeah, I believe it's just
sure?
Firebat's choice. And
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, you could choose to forfeit that game, but
Yeah.
instead of taking the win, he's saying he wants a rematch. So I believe we're just going to get a regame for this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in the rules, people. It's in the rules. I actually have the rules right here. They're a little bit too long for me to read through them all, though. So that's not going to happen. But you can trust me when I say someone's read those rules. Someone's read those rules.
Looks like the admin rule was Firebat wins, and Firebat said, "quote Wait, how did I win? Can I give him a redo?" So, yeah, we're trying to find the nice solution for both players.
Firebat's confused. LBYS is confused. I'm
and
confused.
We are probably getting another game.
All right, let's have a theory crafting session then. While
Let's do it.
LBYS is restarting his computer. So, one popular deck that I really like right now is Tempo Mage.
Okay.
Well, one not so popular deck is what can we do to make Tempo Mage better?
Does your deck have Dr. Boom in it?
It does. It does have Dr. Boom.
That's like the IT solution, when you call in and you have a problem.
Turn it on.
And they're like, turn it on and off again. Yeah, Dr. Boom or not is like the equivalent in Hearthstone. So, okay. Yeah. So we've got that through. Okay. I
was thinking about Ronin. Ronin was in like one of the first Tempo Mages.
Now, what are you aiming to do with Ronin?
Win more games than I would without Ronin.
And how is he going to accomplish that for you?
He gives me arcane missiles.
Okay. Now, do you play arcane missiles in your deck?
I do, yeah. Play
okay.
two arcane missiles.
So you like the card arcane missiles?
Yeah, so I play 2 arcane missiles, and I feel like it's a good card. So I feel like having 5, or is it 6?
Okay.
Usually 3.
Now,
usually 3. 5 arcane missiles feels like it'd be better than not. Than having 2.
Yes. Now, if only we could play 2 Dr. Booms, that'd be the ideal situation. But I know a lot of players used to use Ragnaros.
Rag's pretty good.
It's like 1 arcane missile, but really powerful.
Let's talk about some. All right, so we settled on the fact that Ronin would make Tempo Mage better 100% of the time. So let's talk. No, that's the end of that discussion. Let's talk about something more relevant. Let's discuss Ragnaros and Secret Pally.
Okay.
So what is it good against, and why was it put in? It helps freeze mage matchup. It helps.
Helps priest.
Helps priest. Okay.
Helps warrior.
But it's a dead card against a lot of matchups that you fight for border early, like Zoo.
Yeah. Realistically, the card you're putting in instead of it is usually a 5-drop. Mm-hmm. So, like, you're looking at, do I want a Belcher, a second Belcher, a Lotheb, or a Ragnaros? So, like, if you look at Oskaka's old list with Rag, he did not have Lotheb.
Yeah.
Now, if you really want to beat up on Freeze Mage, you're going to want Lotheb and Rag. Mm-hmm. But Oskaka basically reasoned it as Seer Paladin is just kind of like a play your board out deck. There's no swing turn, which there kind of is. But
it's a barf your hand deck.
Yeah, it's a just play whatever on curve deck. There's no turn where you go like prep this, backstab that. There's no tempo swing. The biggest tempo swing is just because your guy does really good stuff. Your 6-drop just does a lot of stuff. But really, it's just, you can simplify the 6-drop down to raw stats. It's about 13, 12 of stats, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But so he didn't think Lotheb was very good because Lotheb you usually do with swing turns. So like you play out a lot of stuff for free and you Lotheb. As Druid you play like Living Roots, you play a Shade and you Lotheb, and they can't do anything and then you combo them. Secret Paladin didn't really have anything like that. I play Lotheb in my Secret Paladin because it really helps against Freeze Mage. It really helps against like random priest decks and stuff like that, and warrior.
Aggro Shaman helps against Aggro Shaman too.
Helps against Aggro Shaman. I just swear by Lotheb as a card. If I can put that card in my deck, I'm going to, because it's just such a versatile card. Whenever you're thinking about your lethal options, you're like, what am I dead to? And you're like, well, if he has Lotheb. But yeah, so that's kind of one of the cards you're cutting for Rag. Mm-hmm. I don't play Rag. I feel like Rag was a really good surprise inclusion when Oskaka put it in. Nobody was like expecting it. They're just like, okay, I got through all the threats, and suddenly there was another one. I really feel like the weakness of Secret Paladins on turn 3, 4, and 5, if they don't hit their perfect curve. 6, 7, and 8 are all really good turns for Secret Paladin. But if they miss their muster, which they only play 2 copies of, that's their only 3-drop in the deck.
Only 2 copies?
Yeah, I think they'd play more if they could. But,
What would Secret Paladin look like if you could play
geez.
4 of one card? Because I think most card games you can play 4.
Yeah, but you have double the deck size.
Larger deck size, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no.
It would it'd be a lot more
Potentially larger
it'd
deck
be a
size.
lot more powerful of a deck if you just doubled everything, because the percentage of the time you draw your secrets out of your deck would be infinitely lower. You'd never draw both noble sacks by turn 6. Instead,
You
you'd have
lagged
4.
You lagged a little bit when you said double everything. So your voice is like, double everything. I'm going to go back and see if that lagged on the broadcast too.
All right, well, I think
Just
it
make
did
that into a sound bite.
because I saw my
Double everything.
everything. Well, basically, Secret Paladin would be a lot more powerful as a 60-card deck because you would never manually draw your secrets.
Yeah.
But luckily, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right. We're basically going to turn this into a hashtag Ask Chalky section
Okay.
podcast.
Nice.
But nobody else is going to ask you questions besides
It's just you, yeah.
So I'm just going to tweet at myself. Ask Chalky.
Hashtag Ask Chalky.
All right. If you're playing against a Zoo Mirror matchup and you have a bad curve, but you have Sea Giant in your opening hand, do you keep Sea Giant?
Well, I play 2, so no. If you play
If you
1,
play one, if you play one Sea Giant, okay. The
No.
other, and you don't keep Sea Giant in the Zoo Mirror if you
No.
don't have a good curve.
no.
Okay. Why?
You get blown out a lot by like Egg and Juggler and Haunted Creeper and Abusive Sergeant. Those
What if
are all
you're-
really important.
What if you're on the coin
Okay.
and you have Voidwalker, Imp Gang Boss, some bad card that you wouldn't keep, like Leroy, and a Sea Giant. So you're throwing away one card. Would you keep Sea Giant in that situation? I keep it 100% in that situation.
I'd probably keep it.
Okay.
I don't know. Like the thing is,
How much did my saying I would keep it 100% influence your decision? I feel like that was unfair of me. I'm sorry.
I'm just kind of looking at that draw as like Voidwalker. If they play Flame Imp, you just can't play it. If they play like their own Voidwalker, it's pretty bad because they can like abusive and kill yours. Basically, going second in the Zoomier is pretty miserable, unless you have like Coin Egg and then
Yeah.
PO or Coin Creeper.
Yeah.
So really, the 1-drops on the coin aren't something you want. So I'd be tempted to just throw that entire hand.
Even Imp Gang Boss on the coin?
Yeah. So
What are you looking for? Creepers, Peddlers?
Creeper, Egg, Abusive, Flame Imp's not bad.
I throw away Egg unless I have an activator. Or Dark Peddler.
Egg's pretty OP. Basically, if you're going second and you have Imp Gang and you coin it out, if they had an egg and they PO their egg, you kind of lose.
Mm.
One time I played an egg and the guy just stone cold coined out an Imp Gang boss. I was like, wow.
Stone cold.
I didn't have the PO. I ended up losing. I was really disappointed. And so that was the day I started banning Warlock.
All right. I have these things called TJ-isms.
Yes.
Where there are things that I do that I don't think anybody else does, and it mostly pertains to mulligans. Just
Okay.
because I have these really weird superstitious rituals that I do in my mulligans that win me. I don't have exact data, so it's quite possibly that they're just hurting me, but I feel like I do pretty well. I mean, I get high legend. I get legend really quickly.
All right, what are they, TJ? Come on.
All right,
I
I keep Dr. Boom in the Druid Mirror
okay.
all the time, 100% of the time.
Okay.
If I see my opponent in a Druid Mirror keep more than 2 cards, I keep BGH always
Ooh,
in a Druid Mirror.
weird.
Those 2 cards are just super swing cards. Because if my opponent keeps 2 cards, then I think they're doing a TJism and they're keeping Doctor Boom.
Okay. What if
So
they have Fell Reaver and you're like, got him?
I actually had a situation earlier where my opponent didn't keep anything, and I'm like, and I had BGH, and I really thought about keeping BGH. I'm like,
Oh
I have a
yeah.
good
So
curve. The only way I lose is if I get blown up by Doctor Boom, and I didn't keep BGH, and my opponent innervated out a Fell Reaver. I was like, oh my.
at DreamHack Winter, I was getting reverse swept by this like rank 6 guy with Aggro Druid in the tournament, and so he like innervated Fell Reaver in games 3 and 4 and crushed me.
Yeah.
Game 5, I'm like loading in. I was playing like Reno Lock. I'm like, I saw a big game hunter. I was going first, and I had nothing. I had no keeps, and I looked at that big game hunter, and I was like, I'm probably on tilt, but I'm keeping this. And I kept the BGH, and turn 2 he goes, whatever the Druid sorry emote is, my apologies, and coin innervates out Fell Reaver, and I'm like,
Got him.
justice. And he was like, he was visibly upset when I BGH that.
Yeah. The thing is, that's a swing, but you're only discarding 3 cards.
Oh, who cares about the discards? I killed like 3 cards of his in an 8/8. I was dead if I didn't have it.
And then he just plays Doctor Boom later on. And...
No, I won that game easily.
Okay, okay.
My only chalkyism is
Placing second. Oh.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, sorry, that was uncalled for. I'm so sorry, Chucky. At this point, I don't even think about it. It just comes out of my mouth.
In Secret Paladin, so I've got 1 challenger that's normal, and I've got 1 golden one.
Okay.
And the golden one is special.
Why is it special?
I don't know.
It pulls more secrets, I swear.
Does. I never mulligan the golden one, but at regionals, in my first broadcasted game, I was going first against Hunter, and he was in my hand, and I was like, I gotta get rid of you, buddy. I have to, I'm sorry. And for the first time ever, I mulliganed that golden one, and I drew into a Secret Keeper, and I won because of it, and I was like,
Wow.
damn. I was disgusted with myself. But yeah, that golden one, man, he's special.
Chucky-ism.
When you rip the golden mysterious challenger on turn 6 and you had nothing else to do, there's nothing else in the world that's like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. There's actually probably a lot of things in the world that are way better than that. But
I don't know, man. There's some sick, twisted feeling inside of me that's like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be so mad at his computer desk. He might even bang on his keyboard.
Well, we do have an update that LBYS has successfully restarted his computer, and
All right,
I will
we made it.
with honor.
he needs to invest in a
All right,
solid state drive.
Talking about keeping mysterious challengers, you keep it here, right?
Again, freeze mage.
Oh yeah.
With a good curve. Maybe if I threw away everything else, I wouldn't keep it.
All right, we're gonna have to see how he sequences this. Looks.
Tough set of plays here.
He actually does have a.
Yeah, now that mysterious. Now that
he has two. Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind, TJ. This looks like a pretty easy sequence here.
Ruined. Saved.
Well, things are certainly awkward for Firebat.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna test for repentance and get the bat.
You're always afraid in those types of situations when your opponent slams a Secret Keeper and then turn 2 slams a Keeper, Secret Keeper, and a Secret.
Ooh.
Wow. That their hand is just, 6 secrets.
Hey, TJ, you know that competitive sphere was a 1-mana 5/5?
Wow. It's almost like as good as Eye for an Eye. Almost.
I don't know. I might prefer Eye for an Eye here. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Because Eye for an Eye would...
It'd be a 1-mana...
dealt 2 damage.
It'd be a 1-mana 4/2.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
That's pretty good.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to get out of hand pretty quickly for Firebat. He's got a lot of burn in his hand. I mean, this isn't a decent opening, except for the fireballs. He does have freeze. He needs to draw into a Doomsayer really quickly, is the only thing. But he does have some cycle. Mad Scientist is pretty much cycle because you're sort of thinning your deck, so you're more likely to draw into good stuff instead of secrets.
He has a pretty good play here if he can kill off a Secret Keeper and the Avenge lands on the other Secret Keeper. Oh, he already attacked with the Scientist. Okay.
Yeah, because he tested for Noble Sack. So
Yeah, I mean, that would have worked out insanely well half the time.
yeah,
So it's going to be a little unfortunate. He's going to be facing down a 7/7.
hmm
No BGH in this Freeze Mage deck, I don't think. Oh, 2 7/7s. And or 1 11/11. But yeah, probably want to spread out your power for Icelands.
yeah.
And yeah, Firebat's in dire straits again. Deja vu. Yeah, I mean, he can kill off the Secret Keeper. See what he gets. If he gets Ice Barrier, I don't think you... Yeah, he got Ice Barrier. So I don't think you have to Ice Lance. He could still Ice Lance, but, like, you're just bleeding resources at that point. And
Yeah.
I think he obviously has to Fireball the Secret Keeper. And so now a huge issue is he's not threatening much burn to end the game. So he's going to be on the defensive this entire time. And how's he really going to swing the game back around and win? Oh, Repentance, a terrible draw here. Literally just denies him a draw and a Repentance on the board.
And Repentance is a really good card in this matchup just because they don't play many creatures, and the creatures they do are high impact. Like, if you land a Repentance on a Doomsayer, a lot of times it can just be game over for the Priest Mage because there's, you have quite a few weapons in the deck. Usually most of us run 4, double muster, 1 True Silver, 1 Coghammer, so you can usually land something on the Doomsayer to kill it off. Even a Consecration if you run 1. Some of us don't, but this is pretty rough. He does have some freeze effects, but his hand is clogged with secrets, which will buy him time, but not really proactive, I suppose.
Yep. So it's looking pretty grim. I mean, he does have a Frost Nova to keep the board frozen, but again, not really finding damage. He has pieced together 14 damage in his hand. I mean, assuming you can pick up a way to activate Ice Lance. So if he draws like Alex and a Frostbolt, and you do have to remember there is no ice block up right now. He will be able to get it up, but then like the turn you play Alex, it gets popped, and then you can't kill your opponent. So
He's on 7 mana.
yeah, it's real bad.
And he's used both fireballs to clear minions. He's used both fireballs on Secret Keepers. Both
Feels
of his
bad,
fireballs.
man. Yeah, I would have really liked to see the hope for the 50-50 scenario.
Yeah.
I don't know why he wouldn't go for that. Definitely, I think would have put him in a better spot. Yeah, this Ice Lance just feels disgustingly bad. Like, what does it really do?
Deals 4
Ooh,
damage.
and that is a huge Dr. Boom.
Played it so quickly that didn't even have time to reach the board.
I still don't know if I like it here, because I would have liked to see him maybe go for the Doomsayer thing again. Of course, it's really tough knowing Firebat doesn't have second Nova and Doomsayer, but there was also Repentance up, but he doesn't actually have a way to kill off the Repentance. Oh, he didn't play Ice Block. He's dead. Oh no! No, don't activate it! Wow. Okay, so...
He hasn't checked for it, right?
No, he hasn't checked.
Wait, didn't he get through barrier already? No, he hasn't.
No, that's a barrier in play.
Yeah, it's been freezes both times.
So Firebat's trying to, like, next level here and make him check with the... Oh, yeah. I mean, you gotta go face first.
Okay, no matter what, there's no way that you don't kill him there. Even if you're popping his block, so you're gonna check for it.
Yeah, if it's barrier, you win. If it's block, nothing changes. So you should attack face first.
Yeah. But, that looked a lot like the last game that we saw. The last one had a 12-10 mini-bot. This one was like an 11-9. So.
Actually, it was a 13-10, TJ.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, if you could get it right.
But you know, sometimes that just happens. That was a near perfect curve for LBYS, and Firebat got caught with a lot of burn spells and secrets in
Now,
the whole game.
what do you think chat's gonna spam? I mean, I think they're just gonna go with Brokeback, but again, that's kind of the Druid emote, you know?
Yeah,
So what did we decide Secret Paladin was?
yeah.
I mean, Forehead is Shaman. Ming Li was Warlock.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What was the OMG Scoots again?
Jeez, that was like
Was it
Priest.
OMG Scoots Priest? Oh, Priest.
I think it was
That's
Priest,
right.
yeah. What a terrible emote for a terrible class. Nobody spams OMG Scoots, dude.
Nobody plays Priest. It's been a resurgence of Priest lately, though, I think.
Oh man, I just checked chat and there's a guy with 2 OMG Scoots in his message.
Yes! And we're on delay. So,
Oh man.
yeah, so we'll get to the part of chat where it's just me and you talking for 30 minutes. They're a little restless.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah.
Well.
They're like a bunch of kids when your mom says that you're gonna go leave for ice cream in 5 minutes, and it's 30 minutes later, and you don't want to say anything because you really want ice cream and you don't want to ruin it, but you're getting really pissed because she said 5 minutes and it's
This
been
is
30.
a very specific example. Like, wow.
It's almost like I've been in that situation before.
Oh my god. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, TJ.
Well, getting back to the game, LBYS. LBYS is also running Freeze Mage, but it's a much different version. Firebat was running the more... No!
Are you sure it's a different version? Like,
Yeah, well, it's the
it's
same.
different.
It's the same version, but a different tech cards because LBYS is running double Novice Engineer, where I think Firebat was running double Loot Hoarder.
yeah.
Because we didn't see an Antonitis, and we did see a Torch from Firebat, right?
Yeah? Maybe? Question mark? I don't know.
We've seen so many Freeze Mages today that it's...
Yeah. I mean,
it seemed like Firebat's Freeze Mage was more standard, and LBYS was more... I guess we call it modern Freeze Mage, Torch Freeze Mage,
I
whatever
mean,
you
at
want
the
to
end
call
of the day, you're throwing some fire spells at your opponent's face.
it. Yeah, you're freezing, and then you're burning.
Yeah.
So it's not too much of a difference, but there are some stylistic differences, and there are some matchups that are a bit different when you're talking about the different matchups. I think you tend to do a little bit better against Druid, though, because you have more, you can deal with their early board more with torches. You can use torches to clear shredders.
Yeah, and it's actually like a good thing playing those. He's got a Tempo Doomsayer here. I like this because against Druid, very often they just have the Keeper to instantly kill it. And it looks like he's just going to develop that. But it does kind of just like... You're very rarely actually going to resolve a Doomsayer.
You're not protecting anything with that Keeper.
Yeah, he just wanted to get the 2-4 down.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised by the ping. It seemed like a really nice time to develop Ice Block.
Mhm.
I guess he's just really valuing the draw, and maybe he'll Ice Block next turn.
Yeah. He does have room to maneuver because he at least he can think that there's not going to be too much developed next turn. To where he'll have room to do it. This might change his plans, just because that represents a lot of damage on the board.
Yeah, I just felt like that the odds that your Acolyte draws 2 were really high anyway. So you pinging your own Acolyte really just kind of paved the way for the Keeper to trade into it.
Ooh. Yeah, see, now it's awkward.
I'd really like him to just get the Ice Block down, I think. You don't need another card. You don't need to freeze anything. You don't need to do anything. So it's another really opportune time to just get this down while you still can.
Just a Savage Roar wouldn't let him pop either. It'd be
Yeah, he would need to
11
give
damage
a
on
little
board,
more.
plus 10 damage from the Savage Roar, plus 1 damage from the Hero Power. So
yeah,
that'd be, what,
maybe
22?
2 off. But
Yeah.
but like Savage Roar swipe, Savage Roar. It doesn't matter how much your
Savage Roar
opponent
Living
spends.
Roots. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the Ice Lance definitely makes sense.
If they pop you, they pop you. They're not really caring about how many cards they're expending. So I like the Ice Lance as well, even though it does waste a little bit of damage. So now we're getting into kind of the turns where he's going to want to start blizzarding the board, keeping it frozen as much as possible. You mentioned that this list doesn't really run Flame Strike, which I think I've seen before.
Yeah.
It seems to be the kind of new age list. Doomsayer being a champ.
This is the modern Freeze Mage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just a bit of modern freaking.
This is the hipster Freeze Mage. You can tell by LBYS's beanie.
Yeah, I mean, typical freeze mage just isn't my style.
And it's tinted indoor glasses. What did I say last week that LBYS played?
Flips his hair as he plays the second torch.
Oh, I like to go face because that's where the emotions are.
What, did he say that?
No, I said that last week.
Oh, okay. Oh.
No, he said that.
There are those torches. Well, he's got... If he had Alex, that'd be great. But
Even without Alex, he has like 26 points of damage or something.
yeah.
25 points of damage.
Ooh, Frost Nova is really nice.
He was Frost Nova, start throwing things at his face.
Yeah. At his face. 'Cause that's where the emotions are. He's even gonna freeze
It
him.
doesn't work when you say it like that.
He's even gonna freeze him to play around combo. Emotional.
Alright, so that's one Forgotten Torch and one Roaring Torch. So if you count all the damage in his hand, it's 25.
Yep. And he has another Frostbolt and another Ice Lance in the deck, and I don't believe... Actually, I think it does run 2 Fireballs and 2 Torches.
2 Fireballs, 2 Torches, yeah.
Yep, so he's got a Fireball in the deck as well. Wow. That's an aggressive Ancient Allure, considering, like, you could probably just use it to heal out of your opponent's range.
Oh my goodness. He's got a Pyroblast face.
You think so?
His hand is all burn and an ice block.
Yeah.
Forget the Acolyte of Pain. Alright.
Oh, he even has the Novice Engineer to
Yeah,
punch.
that's an extra damage.
He gets to punch 1 damage.
Alright, so using...
Okay, he's doing it
this allows
this
you to
way.
fit in a ping. Yeah, this
Yeah,
allows you
he's-
to fit in a ping.
Well, this allows you to also get the other torch in your deck.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So it increases the chance that you draw into
But
the
it's a lot worse because it's not a lot worse like overall, but it's worse in the case that you want to play that ice block because you can't ice block and something else.
Wait, so...
Oh, the Lotheb here isn't that powerful. Actually, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's going to be...
Well, it depends. He needs to armor up.
LBYS is going to need to draw... Actually, I don't think anything does it now.
Yeah, because Firebat would hero power up the next 2 turns, so he would have needed a burn spell anyway, because just Frostbolt ping this turn would have put 1 damage away.
Shouldn't Firebat be casting that Wild Growth? Just to cycle towards the second Ancient Allure? Yeah. He could have done that first, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, he knew he was going to play Lotheb and hero power that turn, so really that only leaves him with 2 options. There's Wrath.
Yeah.
If he desperately needs to, he can Wrath for 1 on one of his own creatures.
Yeah, I mean, that's not too uncalled for.
Okay, wait. So if he draws
Fireball.
into Torch...
Fireball, yep.
Or
Fireball
second
or
Fireball.
Torch would do it. So, I think you'd Wrath your own guy here,
Yeah,
just to start.
because you get at a range of everything.
Ooh, I don't like the hero power. I mean, if you draw Ancient Allure off Wrath, it's
How many
wrong.
cards does he have left? What's the percentage
Not many.
chance here?
Not many. I mean, he's used an Ancient Lord to draw. He's used an Azure Drake. He's used a Wild Growth. Like, now, if you draw an Ancient Lord, you just look stupid.
Production value!
Uh,
Mouse over the cards!
well, I
don't think we
know.
can, actually. I think we're on the other thing. 11! We got it really quickly.
Yeah, so...
So that's a 20% chance? Oh!
Oh,
That's
my
it,
God.
right? That's exact lethal.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
Yeah, I wasn't factoring in the ping. I thought Firebat would be well out of range, but the ping gets him exact lethal.
Revenge for the Rockbiter.
Yep, so...
That was actually a higher chance.
Yeah,
So-
if you go back to the turn where he didn't Pyroblast, not only did it put the torch in his deck, but he did higher damage that turn, which put himself in a spot to win even through Lotheb, whereas if he Pyroblasted, he would have had absolutely just no chance to win that game.
Yeah. Sometimes it can feel like your first instinct is Power Blast because you think you'll never have a turn where you can spend 10 mana.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in that situation, you got to look and think, do I even need Power Blast? Is my chance going to be higher to win? And so that's another situation where you're just like, just don't listen to TJ. Don't Power Blast his face.
Yeah, super well played by LBYS. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't speak for him as to what he was playing around with each of his plays, but if you look at how they worked out, it was essentially played perfectly that got him to an exact lethal situation.
And the MVP there being the Novice Engineer, which actually got in for a damage point. So it's kind of funny to think that was the difference maker there. That one
Yeah.
damage going to the face. So.
It would have been really awkward, however, if he was one off and a loot hoarder would have done it. But
yeah, but
we won't talk about that.
Yeah. There's trade offs for both.
Right.
What's also interesting is that sometimes LBYS had to have known what his win condition was multiple turns in advance, just because he did go face with that. There was a situation where he could have tried to play to a different out, like one of his other AoEs, or the something was at 1 health that turn. Something significant was at 1 health that turn. He could have traded it in.
The thing about that list with no flame strikes is you really very rarely play to an AoE out. You're mostly going for a burnout rather.
Burnout, yeah.
Because they just have extra burn in the deck. They've got the pyro, they've got the 2 torches and fireballs, so they're very rarely playing to if I can clear my opponent's board, especially against Druid, where even if you clear the board, you're still dead to combo.
Yeah.
But that's going to set us up for LBYS versus Shoop next, which is the winner's match. And interesting to note, both of these guys are the qualified players, not the invited players. So
yeah, and this is actually a rematch from open bracket number 2. Which is the most recent one where LBYS actually took out Shoop to gain enough points to qualify. So that's going to be interesting. But before we get to that match, we're going to have to go to a quick break. Make sure during the break, head over to geico.onog.gg. I saw some questions on Twitter and in chat of how you get to sign up. If you go to that page and then go to, I believe it's in the top right, you can go to ONOG 2016 tournament and sign up. It'll bring you to the bottom of the page where you can look at when the next tournament it is and how you sign up. So you have to make an account and stuff. But all the information's on that page, so go there during the break. But don't go anywhere, guys. More ONOG 2016 circuit action continues right after this.